Alyssa Gilderhus and her family say they experienced the seemingly unthinkable. In this email to police, Alyssa's mother says her 18-year-old daughter was medically kidnapped by the world-famous Mayo Clinic. Do you think they were trying to medically kidnap you?
Yes, I completely do. Not a doubt in my mind.
This was Alyssa on Christmas Eve in 2016 with her family in Sherburne, Minnesota. On Christmas Day, a blood vessel burst inside her brain. She had emergency surgery at the Mayo Clinic. Doctors gave her a 2% chance of surviving. How did those neurosurgeons do?
Fantastic.
Phenomenal.
They saved her life.
After a month, she moved to the rehabilitation unit at Mayo with new doctors. When you had opinions or thoughts about Alyssa's care, did they listen to you?
No.
I don't feel they did at all.
Did they seem annoyed with you?
Yes.
Because we were parents, not the doctors, because they knew everything and we didn't.
The tension eventually exploded, and Mayo kicked Alyssa's mother out of the hospital after they say she interrupted a meeting. In a statement, Mayo told us family members may be restricted in situations where care may be compromised or the safety and security of our staff are potentially at risk. Alyssa's mother says she didn't do either. Alyssa begged for her mother. Family friend Joy Schmidt.
She'd cry.
Was that tough?
Very.
Alyssa says she'd finally had enough. Did you want out of the Mayo Clinic?
As bad as possibly, yes.
But what happened next is alarming. Alyssa and her parents say Mayo wouldn't let her go. Did you ask to have her transferred to another hospital?
We did.
And what did Mayo say?
They said no.
A lawyer even wrote this letter asking for an expedited transfer to another hospital.
It felt like you went from a healing place to a prison.
So Alyssa's parents hatched an escape plan. They pulled a trick on the staff to get her out of Mayo, and they documented it on video. They told them that Alyssa's grandma Betty had come to visit, but was too frail to come inside the hospital, and so Alyssa had to come to her.
Quick.
But when they arrive at the car, there's no Grandma Betty.
Come on, babe.
It's Alyssa's mother.
Going home.
Watch as a nurse's aide grabs Alyssa's arm.
Yes, she is. She signed out. Come on, honey, we're going home.
How did it feel the minute that you hopped into your parents' car?
Like a relief. Like the biggest weight on your shoulders pulled off. It was phenomenal. The longer I'm away from Mayo Clinic, the better.
After Alyssa left, Mayo called 911 and said they'd had a patient abduction. But Rochester police tell CNN that Mayo was wrong. They said Alyssa was 18, an adult making a legal choice to leave the hospital.
That there was no abduction, there was no violation of law. Essentially, you had a patient that left the hospital under their own planning with the assistance of family members.
Months later, Alyssa and her family learned a secret while looking at police records. Just before Alyssa escaped, a Mayo social worker had tried to get court orders for emergency guardianship for Alyssa. If you had not gotten Alyssa out of the Mayo Clinic, where do you think she'd be right now?
She would not be in a good place.
I think it would have been the end of us ever getting to see Alyssa again.
So why was Mayo trying to get emergency guardianship for Alyssa? A county official told police that the Mayo Clinic was concerned for the medical decisions being made for Alyssa. Alyssa signed this privacy release form so Mayo could speak freely to CNN, but Mayo wouldn't answer our questions on the record. We will not address these questionable allegations or publicly share the facts of this complex situation because we do not believe it's in the best interest of the patient and the family. Our internal review determined that the care team's actions were true to Mayo Clinic's primary value, that the patient's needs come first. We acted in a manner that honored that value for this patient. Alyssa and her parents think Mayo was trying to get guardianship in retaliation for questioning doctors.